All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some problems on the first page. I expect you then to finish up the first page, whether you have other pages done or not, but I expect you to finish up the first page, and I expect you to do part of this back side of that first page for Tuesday. Today is Friday, so today I'm going to just show you a few things. Come in Tuesday, I'm going to do a page Tuesday, and then as much as I can, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I am going to try to do more than a page on some of those days because, like I said, there is still stuff that's not on this that's on the exam. And so I'm trying to see if I can squeeze that in for an extra day. So you need to get that done. So I'm going to upload this to my school website. So if you need an extra copy of it, or you don't have a copy, you can get it from there. All right, so let's go through a couple of things just to make sure you remember. 1 and 2, all they want you to do is to put that number in for your x and solve it out. That's what you're doing in 1 and 2. Number 3, I'm going to do one of them, and then I'm going to leave you for the other one because there's 2 here. So the first one that I'm doing is f of g of 2. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find what g of 2 is. So g of n is negative 7n. So I'm putting a 2 in for my g. So I'm going to put a 2 in for my n value of g. So that means that g of 2 is equal to negative 7 times 2. What is negative 7 times 2? Negative 14. So we know that that's going to be negative 14, so we're going to do f of negative 14. So I'm going to put in my negative 14 into my f value, my n of my f, because it says right there to do it to the f now, so I'm going to go negative 14 and square that. So negative 14 times negative 14 is 196. Now, I don't want you to do it now. However, tonight, I want you to do this one. Or tomorrow, but for have it done for Tuesday, I want you to try your g of f of negative 1. So you're going to take that negative 1 and you're going to put it into the f, get a value, and then put it into the g. All right. Bless you. First of all, it says number 4. It says to, and again, I'm going to do one of them, and then I want you to do the other. So the 2 of them are f of g of n, and then the other one is g of f of n. So I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to leave you to do that one. So the first thing this says to do is to put, first of all, what is g of n? What does g of n equal? G of n equals, nope, negative 7. Negative 7, so we have f of negative 7, n. Negative 7n. Then it says to put in negative 7n in for my f function. So my f function says n squared. So I am going to take and put this into f. So I am taking this and putting negative 7n, and I'm squaring it. So negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. N squared is my final answer. How are we going to determine if these two are, and I want you to practice putting them inside each other, because some of them on your test will just have you put them inside each other. Some of them say, are they inverses of each other? To be inverses of each other, remember, f of g of x, it has to equal g of f of x, which has to equal x to be inverses. All right. So remember that when you do your your g right here, these two have to equal each other, and they have to equal, at least this one would have had to equal n. So obviously I can look at it and say that they're not inverses. However, I want you to go through, and I want you to practice that, because you're going to have to put that in. If you are having trouble with this, things that I would suggest you do is YouTube, remember chapters 6 through 13 is where this test is on. I would look in your notes, look in your book, try stuff out. If you are just waiting to just understand it from me, I'm just reviewing with you. I'm just trying to bring it back to your mind. So I'm not reteaching it. So just so you know, try to look at those things, chapter 6 through your 13. All right. Questions. How do you determine if something is a function? So if something's a function, what's going to happen? It's going to pass the vertical line test. All right, so, and that means that it only hits once. So, is this a function? If I draw this line down, it only hit once, so is that a function? Yes. Is this a function? No. The other thing that you want to make sure you know, that if this is my x value, how many values of the y's can it have? 1. So for every x, there is 1 y. And why I say that is because you have to look here, and is this a function? We have 95, 4, and 5. So because they're all different x's, this is a function. And you'll get to practice this down at 8 also, because 8 is all of this too. Now my question is this a function? If I said 3, 2, 3, 5, is this a function? For every x, there is only 1 y. So this is no. It's not a function. If you plot these 2 points, they're going to be on top of each other. It's not a function. What about this? If I said 3, 2, 4, 1, and then I did 3, 2 again. Is that a function? Yes, because this and this is the same point. For every x, there is 1 y. You can plot the points always to find that out. I want to jump to 7 for a second, and I want you to tell me, how can you tell if the graph has an inverse, which is a function? So how can you tell by looking at a graph if its inverse is a function? It has to pass horizontal line test. So my question to you is the inverse a function of this one? So is the inverse of this one a function? No. Is the inverse of this one a function?
Yes.
So that exact same thing that we did, that we just got done doing, you will do over the weekend, number 8, or when I give you time at the end, number 8 is just like that. All right, number 6. It says to to find this. What does it mean, this -1 up there? What does that mean? Inverse. It means inverse. How do I find the inverse of an equation? We have to, what's my first step?
You inverse you do the reciprocal of the x, right?
You switch your x and y. Then what's your second step? Solve for y. And then the last step is to replace y with your g of -1. So I'm going to leave you that problem to try because I don't think there's other problems in the packet like that. And then on Tuesday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and fill in the rest of this with you. All right, we talked about that. Number nine, I actually want you to cross out, and I want you to replace it. I want you to replace it with this problem: the square root of a to the 14. So, what we have here is when you take and you are taking, first of all, I want to know what this answer is. When you are simplifying, you are finding just the value of it. So, first of all, the square root, what's the number here that's there? A 2. So, there's a 2 there. We have 14 of them. So, how many are coming out? 7. So, it's a to the 7th. Now, is this going to be a positive number or a negative number, and how do we know? So what if order of operations, if say a was a negative, I'll go with -1, make it easy on us. If a was -1, I put it in here, what's my first thing that I would have to do? I'd have to, how could I, if I told you to put in, without a calculator, -1 into here and give me an answer, what would you have to do first? -1 times -1 14 times.
It would be positive.
It would be positive. If so, it would be a positive, right? Because this is my first order of operations. So -1 to the 14th is 1. Then you would take the square root of that, and that will give you 1. So if you put any negative number in here and you put it to the 14th power, what are you always going to get? A positive number. So I will tell you on your exam, you need to make sure that you're looking for, if it's an even number under here, if this number is even, you're going to use the absolute value sign. On your exam, they're going to have you, is it this or could it be this? And meaning that it could be positive or negative. They want to know if you know. All right? So you have to make sure you choose this because this is positive. And you get to do more of them when you come down here. I want you to do number 33 for the weekend to try them out. So when you do that, yes, but it'll be like this. It'll give you 2 answers like that, and you'll have to choose which one's right. So even like on the test was yesterday's test was multiple choice. Not everyone did very well.
Did you grade them?
Most of them, yep. I have not put them in. You'll get them back Tuesday. So, and they'll be in Power School over the weekend, so you'll see. But I'm just saying. So I'm just saying. And it was, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday. I should have time. All right, I'm going to do actually on 10 and 11. What I would suggest, especially if you have a calculator that does fractions, I would suggest that you put it in your calculator and go 4 parentheses 4 divided by 5 parentheses raised to the -2, but you have to put parentheses around the -2 and then math fraction it. However, if you don't have a calculator that has a fraction, you need to make sure you remember that this negative flips them so that it goes 5 over 4, and then everything's still squared. So then you have to go 25 squared is 25, and then 4 squared is 16. I'll leave you with 11 to do. "12 through 16 are the same, so I'm actually going to do number 13. Number 13, what you have is you're solving these equations. So the first step I'm going to do is going to divide by 100. So I'm going to get a minus 5 raised to the 4 is equal to 16. Another note that I would put on my little cheat sheet thing is whenever you have an even power, and take a root, you get two numbers. You get a plus or minus answer. So at this point I have, and it has to be an even whole number. That's a big thing, because if it's a fraction it doesn't work. So it has to be an even whole number. So because I have 4, when I take the, so since I have an even whole number as a power, I'm going to take that root, and when I take that root, I'm going to have a plus or minus. So that means I'm raising it to the 1/4. I'm going to raise this side to the 1/4. This is gone, so I have a minus 5 is equal to 16 raised to the 4th is 2 or negative 2. Just like when you take the square root of 4, whenever you're solving it, it's going to be 2. It's going to be 2 or negative 2. So then you would add 5 to both sides. So this one you get 7. And then on this one we add 5 to both sides. And this you get 3. All right. You have two compounded interest formulas. You have the one that tells you the n times a year. So the first formula you had was your A is equal to your P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. This is called your compounded compounded your n times a year. The other one is compounded continuous. Does anybody remember what compounded continuous is? It's the PERT, yep. So it's PE raised to the RT, and that's your compounded continuous. Now, have you guys been able to see this all the time? Or were there times that you couldn't see what I was writing?
You have your hands on it.
But does it move so you can see it after? I mean, so you've been able to see it, like on 13 you were able to see where I've gone? Okay. And on 10? Because I looked up there and I was like, I forgot that I blew it up. So on this one it says, a bank pays you 5.75% compounded daily. So are you using Formula 1 or Formula 2 to do your number 17? Formula 1. And N is what? Which is N on this one? 365, because it's daily. Alright, so you are going to be using formula number 1. Find an explicit formula for the term in the geometric sequence. Same as what you did. 18 is what you did on yesterday's test. So we'll go over that on Monday. So you should be able to finish up this first side. If you don't get it, if there's anything you're still struggling with, YouTube it. Read the book. Look at your notes. Don't just say, I'm just going to wait for Miss V to do it. Because I'll tell you, if you're studying that way, you're not going to do good on this final. You really need to have your brain try to figure stuff out. So if you don't try, it's not going to work that way. So really try. Also, I would really highly recommend that you, when you're getting to formulas, especially like these two down here, I'd be writing them on the back of your formula sheet so you have it right away. So you don't have to remember what to put. Any kinds of formulas, any function, anything that I keep telling you, make sure you're putting that stuff on that sheet. If you wait till the last minute, you won't know what to put. Alright? Backside, I want you to try to do at least this side of it. You should be able to do up to 35. Alright? So I want you to try to get up to 35, and then on Monday I'm going to try to do all the rest of the problems up to 35. So I really want you to try to get up to at least 35 for Monday. If you get more, it's great. If you don't, it's what I want you to try. Yes? Any other questions about math?